No alarms went off. No guards shouted. But the scanner stopped, and every security officer suddenly looked at him. Whatever was in that bag. No one was prepared for it. The airport was unusually calm that morning. Soft announcements echoed through the terminal, wheels of suitcases rolled across the polished floor, and travelers moved with that familiar mix of boredom and quiet urgency. It was just another routine shift for airport security, another day of checking bags, scanning faces, and letting people pass. The man didn't stand out at first. Mid-30s, clean jacket, ordinary backpack, calm posture. He smiled politely as he placed his bag on the conveyor belt, just like everyone else. No nervous sweating, no shaky hands, no rushed movements. To the naked eye, he was invisible. The scanner hummed as the bag disappeared inside. Then it stopped, not loudly, not dramatically, just paused. The screen flickered, and the operator leaned closer. Her expression changed. Not panic, not fear, but something more unsettling, confusion. She adjusted the angle, zoomed in, looked again. "What is that?" she whispered. The shape didn't match anything familiar. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't electronics. It wasn't liquid. But it was dense, too dense for what it appeared to be. She signaled to her supervisor without saying ja. No sirens, no announcement, just a subtle hand gesture that said, "Come here now." The man noticed. For the first time, his smile faded. "Is there a problem?" he asked casually, but his eyes stayed locked on the scanner screen. "Just a routine check," the officer replied, her voice professional, controlled. But her fingers were already hovering over the button to stop the line. Passengers behind him groaned softly, annoyed by the delay. They had no idea how close they were standing to something that would soon change everything. The supervisor arrived, stared at the screen for a long moment, and quietly said two words that made the air feel heavier. "Pull the bag." The conveyor belt reversed. The man's backpack emerged slowly, as if time itself had slowed down. Security surrounded the table. Not aggressively, not yet, but deliberately. Carefully, as if one wrong move could trigger something irreversible. "Sir," the supervisor said, "can you step aside with us for a moment?" The man hesitated, just for half a second. But that half second was enough. Because now everyone knew, whatever was inside that bag was not supposed to be there. And they were about to open it. The inspection table was cold under the bright white lights. The backpack sat in the center. Ordinary, worn, nothing special. Yet no one touched it right away. Two senior officers stood on either side, while the supervisor slowly pulled on a fresh pair of gloves. "Sir, is there anything sharp or dangerous inside this bag?" he asked. The man swallowed. "No," he replied, too quickly. That answer didn't help him. The zipper made a loud, unnatural sound as it was pulled open, far louder than it should have been in the silent inspection area. A few nearby passengers pretended not to stare, but everyone was watching now. The supervisor parted the fabric. At first, it looked harmless. Clothes, a notebook, a phone charger. Then he lifted the bottom layer. And everything changed. Beneath the clothes was a sealed black pouch, thicker than normal fabric, stitched shut, with no brand name. It was heavy enough that the supervisor's wrist dipped slightly when he picked it up. "This wasn't visible on the surface," one officer muttered. They placed the pouch on the table. Carefully, they cut it open. Inside were dozens of perfectly organized envelopes, each one marked with dates, codes, and airport abbreviations. Some of the codes matched current flight routes. Others matched restricted zones, areas the public wasn't even supposed to know existed. The room went quiet. "What are these?" the supervisor asked, slowly turning one envelope over. The man's face had gone pale now. His calm confidence was gone, replaced by a tight jaw and eyes that refused to meet anyone else's. "They're personal documents," he said. But the lie was obvious. One officer opened an envelope. Inside were high-resolution images, security layouts, access points, shift schedules. Not guesses, not estimates, exact copies. "This is internal information," the officer said. His voice was lower now. Serious. "Where did you get this?" The man didn't answer. Instead, his hand slowly curled into a fist. That was when the supervisor made the call. "Lock this area down," he said quietly into his radio. and get intelligence on the line. Now, passengers were moved away, screens were turned, the inspection area became sealed off from public view. This was no longer a routine security check. The man was escorted to a chair. As he sat down, one officer noticed something else, something even more disturbing. Tucked inside the final envelope was a single boarding pass. Not for today, not for this airport, but for a flight scheduled 3 days from now. From a completely different country. The officer looked up, stunned. "Sir," he said slowly, "why were you carrying plans for an airport you haven't been to yet?" The man finally looked up. And for the first time, he smiled. The smile didn't belong there. It wasn't nervous. It wasn't forced. It was calm, almost relieved. As if the secret was finally out. One of the officers exchanged a quick glance with the supervisor. People only smiled like that when they believed they were in control, or when they knew something everyone else didn't. "Who are you?" the supervisor asked. The man leaned back in the chair, hands resting openly on his knees. No resistance. No panic. "My name won't help you," he said. "But what I'm carrying should." An officer opened another envelope, this one thicker than the rest. Inside was a small flash drive taped to a folded document. The document had a single sentence printed at the top. Vulnerability report. Level red. No logos. No signatures. Just that line. The officer plugged the flash drive into a secure terminal. Within seconds, the screen filled with footage, security camera angles from airports across different countries. Blind spots highlighted in red. Time stamps synced with staff shift changes. Entry doors marked with notes like delayed response and no secondary lock. This wasn't theory. This was testing. "This data is live," the technician said quietly. "Some of these feeds are from today." The room went cold. The supervisor stepped closer to the man. "You're hacking international airport systems." The man shook his head. "I'm showing you what's already broken." Silence followed. Then the man continued, his voice steady. "Every envelope you saw, it represents a failure that hasn't been noticed yet. Or one that was ignored." One officer slammed a hand on the table. "You don't walk through security with classified layouts to make a point." "I didn't walk through," the man replied. "I was allowed through." That sentence hit harder than any accusation. The supervisor felt it too. "How many times?" he asked. The man met his eyes. "This is the 7th airport this month." No one spoke. 7.